Good morning. Just one day before an extended holiday weekend with the Chuseok holiday comes a 5-day break and 40 million Koreans on the move, many of them starting today. Response to the growing crisis in Ukraine and ISIL tops the agenda at the NATO summit. World leaders convene in Wales. One of Korean pop music's next generation stars, BTS or Bangtan Boys. It's been a year since their rock-solid debut. Denny Hong has more on these stars, plus your weekly entertainment updates. And the Santa fish will have a runaway daughter-in-law come back home. The fish worth a roll of fine silk, the Gizzard shad on Korea Eats. On Korea Today, Friday, September 5th, 2014.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And good morning and welcome to Korea Today on this Friday morning. I'm Kim Min-jung alongside Kim Young and Jin-ju. We're now literally counting down the hours until the much-awaited Chuseok holiday.
I see everyone out there here in Korea. Just one more day. Just one more day, right? Well, the extended holidays do offer family time and a long break, but at the same time, many stores, restaurants do close, especially on Chuseok Day.
Which falls on Monday this time.
Exactly.
Right.
Now, what happens if you do need some medical help or if you're in a medical emergency, though?
You don't have to worry because more than 1,300 hospitals, both private and public, will be open nationwide and more than 2,000 pharmacies. So you just have to download an application on your smartphone to find the nearest hospital or pharmacy to where you are.
And getting sick on Chuseok is quite possible because of all the food you consume, right?
Indigestion,
constipation. Right. Let's not get into this. Well, it is day one until the long Chuseok holiday, and this year almost 40 million Koreans will be on the move. Many Seoulites are expected to start heading down to their hometowns later today, with traffic reaching its peak on Saturday morning. Major bottleneck traffic is expected around toll gates out of Seoul. A survey conducted by the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport shows the number of Chuseok travelers using their own vehicles has jumped by 8 percentage points to nearly 85%. The same survey showed 1 of 3 Koreans will spend 2 days on average in their hometowns compared to 10 years ago when they spent a total of 4 days. Most Koreans get up to 5 days off for this Chuseok holiday, as 1 day has been added following the implementation of a system that gives an extra day off for public holidays that coincide with weekends.
Seoul and Washington have come to an agreement to establish a combined division of their troops next year with the purpose of carrying out wartime operations. The unit will be organized in the first half of next year with the U.S. 2nd Infantry Division commander to head the unit and South Korea's Brigadier General level officer to be its vice chief, according to Seoul's defense ministry. Officials say in time of war, the new unit will carry out special operations, including eliminating weapons of mass destruction and conducting civil missions against North Korea. Officials add that the agreement does not mean any changes to the ongoing plan of relocating the U.S. forces' Korea bases to Pyeongtaek, south of the capital, but the Combined Forces Command has been exempt from that move and will remain in Yongsan, Seoul, until South Korea takes on wartime operational control from the U.S.
And those of you planning to take a trip overseas might want to take note of this piece of news. Starting today, inbound travelers will be allowed to bring in $600 worth of items purchased overseas tax-free from the current $400. That's because a revision to the existing customs law initiated by the Ministry of Strategy and Finance that raises the tax-free ceiling goes into effect today. The regulation was first introduced in 1979 when the limit was at about $100. The changes do not affect alcohol, tobacco, and perfume since their purchases are limited by the amount and not the price. The government will offer more tax benefits to those who voluntarily declare their purchased items and slap on heftier taxes for those who evade reporting.
Happy Friday morning. It's time to run through the front pages of your newspapers. Now, one story that's on all the local papers this morning is news of the Kookmin president resigning after the financial watchdog slapped him with a harsher punishment. But before we look into that, let's take a look at a different story here on 동아일보. And this is the header. It says, plans to place one THAAD artillery unit in Pyeongtaek. And THAAD refers to Theater High Altitude Area Defense, which is a key system of low-level air defense in the U.S. missile defense system. And as you can see right here in the sub-headlines, according to a source at the U.S. Defense Department, it is pushing to make its announcements next month on its reported plan to deploy an advanced missile defense unit to Korea. Now, the source also said in a phone interview with The Daily that the two sides are apparently in their final stages of mediating their opinions on the issue, and that Pentagon would be first deploying just one THAAD unit to a key U.S. military base here in Korea in Pyeongtaek. Now, the two countries are likely to make a final decision on this before their defense ministers hold the annual security consultative meeting in Washington in October. And moving on to 조선일보 now, there's quite an interesting story here at the bottom, so we'll take a look at it close up. And this one is about the oldest Korean face, and it's titled "The Oldest Korean Face Found with Slim Face and Narrow Eyes." And it is noted in the subheadlines that Professor Kim Min-gu at the University of Minnesota has announced that two of the gilt bronze sculptures that were excavated in China are faces from ancient Korea between the 2nd and 3rd centuries. And this is one of the relics that the professor provided an image of. It's one of the oldest Korean faces, in fact, from ancient times, with a very long and slender face as well as small, narrow eyes. And next up is Gyeongyang Shinmun. We'll switch gears to this story here on the Seoul ferry tragedy. And the header says, "No Chuseok at Pyeongtaek Harbor." And it is mentioned here, as you can see, that 10 bodies are still missing from the disaster after 142 days since the accident. And some of the victims' families have gone down to Jeoneo Island to spend Chuseok, or the time of Korean Thanksgiving, at Pyeongtaek Harbor near the site of the shipwreck. And here they are in the image, some of the family members who have gathered at the Jeoneo Gymnasium. The paper says for them, this Chuseok holiday means longing and pain as they still suffer from tormenting yearnings to recover the bodies of their loved ones. And finally, let's take a look at the Korea Economic Daily for that story that I did mention right at the beginning about Kookmin Bank president stepping down from his post yesterday. And this title reads, KB CEO Lee Gun-ho resigns, while KB Financial Group Chairman Lee Myung-lok wants to clarify the truth. Now, KB stands for Kookmin Bank, the largest bank by both asset value and market capitalization in Korea. Now, a boardroom feud at KB Financial Group that lasted for nearly half a year has come to an end now, with the bank's president resigning and the official punishments for both the CEO and the group chairman raised to a higher level, as you can see in the words here below the images of the two grim faces there. While the CEO has decided to step down, though, the group's chairman may appeal to clarify the truth behind this feud. And it's noted here in the subheadline that the governor of the Financial Supervisory Service, in fact, overturned advice yesterday from the FSS Sanctions Review Committee late last month to let Lee and Im off the hook with a light warning over the internal conflict, but saying that the conflict seriously damaged the banking group's operations and public image. The governor tightened the severity of their punishments. And that was a look at newspaper headlines for this Friday. Wish you all a great weekend. And now here are the stock numbers from Thursday.
A documentary team from Germany's Deutsche Welle is currently here in Seoul to cover a story on identity for young people from different parts of the world. They're following a North Korean defector and her journey in the South, and they join us today here in the studio, reporter Yalder Zarbaksh and video journalist Robert Richter. Good morning.
Good morning.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. So your new show is called Lifelinks. Could you tell us more about your program?
Well, it is a very new format where we will be portraying in each episode 3 young people from 3 different parts of the world to one subject. So in this case, the very first episode is going to be aired in October, and the subject is identity. And we are here to cover exactly the story of a young North Korean woman and the process of adapting and finding her, like, the identity process and adapting to a completely different culture.
And you've been spending the past few days with this main character, Seong here in Seoul.
Yeah.
So how was your experience so far? Did you have any surprising or interesting moments?
Well, I think it's really great to work with her and that she really opens up to us and getting to really this insight to what it all means to her. And yesterday, for instance, we went to the border barrier to the MZ, and it was really, for the first time, I think she was having a hard time, but what really also surprised me is there was a place where people put banners and like wrote something, and she was really pleased to see that people actually care also about reunification, and people left messages from all over the world. So she thought that always, like, having the picture from Seoul and the university also, that people don't care and during their lives, but then she was actually also happy to see that.
And Robert, I understand that you're from East Germany, and as a person who grew up in East Germany, what were some of the similarities or differences when it comes to adjusting to a new environment as you followed Seong?
Exactly. I mean, I was born in Berlin, and I was 8 years old when the wall came down. But East Germany was never that isolated as North Korea, because we always know what's going on in the West part. Yeah? So we're watching West German television. So it was for us much easier to adapting to a new system because we know what's coming. Indeed, like other people had facing troubles with new words, and they have to adapting to the system at all. They're fooled by people. Indeed, that happens. But in general, the people really know what to expect with West German system. Yeah, there was always. We never been isolated. Yeah? There was older people that had the chance to move to West Germany for holidays. The West people could move to Berlin for doing holidays. So there was always a little bit of exchange. But North Korea, they're really isolated. They are brainwashed. They don't know really what's going on in this house. Just on a limited, they have just limited chances to get some
So more
news.
differences than similarities there. And there's another question. The first episode will be about identity. Why do you think this topic is so important or relevant to all young people around the world?
Well, I think personally that this is a main issue for everyone growing up, and no matter under what kind of regime, if it's a democracy, if it's a dictatorship, and each one brings up its own issues. But I think what I really like also about this new format is that you bring together stories from different young people from all, like, 3 different parts of the world, adding up to one story, and maybe people didn't know that they have similarities. Like someone in maybe in Korea didn't know that they have maybe something in common with the young people, with someone growing up in France, and that's what we're trying to not focus on the conflict, but also show them in their environment, and also maybe how. The nice, also good parts and the similarities,
So when is the first episode going to be aired?
The first episode is going to be aired on the 18th of October.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah. At 11:30 Korean time.
And what are your future plans here in Seoul or anywhere else?
Sorry?
What are your future plans here in Seoul or anywhere else?
Well, for this app for Live Links, we have a lot of other plans and different other topics to come, like religion, tolerance, and
drugs.
It's basically always what holds you back to live the life you want to, and so this is so we might end up sometime more in Seoul, but you never know.
Well, we're really looking forward to your episode on identity. We wish you the best of luck. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
All right, let's now turn things over to Young and Minjung for today's weather forecast.
Well, thank you, Jinju. We are going to get a check on the weather with our Chun Sung-cho.
Exactly.
Today is Chuseok Eve, right?
Yep. The Chuseok holidays are coming up. Many people are wondering how the weather conditions will be because it's going to affect traffic a lot and their move. So we'll go over to Chun Sung-cho.
Good morning, guys. I'm reporting live by the Yangjaechun stream. People are keeping closer eyes on the weather forecast for the next entire week since the Chuseok holiday begins today. Many are going to be away, spending some family time together. And the good news is even Mother Nature is going to be on our side. Blue, clear skies with warm and sunny conditions are forecast for all throughout the Chuseok holiday. A high-pressure system over the west is what's giving us this pleasant weather. On Monday, you should have no problem looking at the full moon with only a few clouds passing through that day. Jeju, on the other hand, is facing a chance of a bit of sprinkle of rain tomorrow night. And also for those of you who are going to drive in the wee hours of the morning over the holiday, you should definitely pay closer attention on the road since dense fog might get in your way. Now let's move on over to get a closer look at today's temperature readings. Midday highs will soar up to 30s today in some cities such as Daegu being the hottest at 32. Seoul stays slightly below at 29. Jeju is the coolest at 27 degrees Celsius. However, cloud-free skies and light winds will bring about a fair amount of radiational cooling, thus making the temperatures drop even below 20 during the night. Make sure you dress accordingly to stay warm to avoid catching a cold. This is all for me with the weather forecast. Have a fantastic holiday, everyone. Now back to you, Minjung.
And time now for a look through the global headlines we're following this Friday morning. We'll turn to our Eunice Kim, who joins us from the News Center. Good morning to you, Eunice.
Good morning, Minjung.
Now, the NATO summit has wrapped up its first day of meetings in Wales, and the world leaders there have expressed their support for Ukraine.
That's right. Leaders of the 28 member nations issued a statement delivered by NATO Secretary General Anders Fogh Rasmussen, and in it they said that they stood with Ukraine in the 5-month-long conflict in the face of Russia's, quote, destabilizing influence. They called on Moscow to pull back its troops from Ukraine and end the illegal annexation of Crimea in a path to peace. More sanctions against Russia are expected to be imposed in the coming days, if not hours. This as a ceasefire in Ukraine could be coming up soon as well. Both Ukraine's president and pro-Russian rebels said they were ready for one as early as Friday. On the sidelines of the NATO summit ongoing in Wales, President Petro Poroshenko said he was hopeful of a truce being reached to end the 5-month war again, while adding that it would be contingent on how a Friday meeting in Minsk goes between the Ukrainian government or envoys from Ukraine, Russia, and Europe's OSCE security watchdog. And while the threat of the Islamic State is not on the formal agenda, it will still dominate discussions on the sidelines. Both U.S. President Barack Obama and David Cameron of the UK made a call for an international coalition to tackle the brutal and poisonous militants, in their words, in a joint editorial piece that they contributed to the Times ahead of the summit. And India is on alert this morning after Al-Qaeda's leader Ayman al-Zawahiri announced the establishment of Al-Qaeda India. The Indian government has issued security alerts in several states. In a 55-minute video message, al-Zawahiri has said an Al-Qaeda in the Indian subcontinent would be a rescue for Muslims in Myanmar, Bangladesh, and India from injustice and oppression. Experts say the move appears to be a reaction to the growing dominance of the group's rival, the Islamic State.
Let's turn our attention to news closer to the Korean peninsula. Washington's new chief nuclear envoy says the U.S. government is working on the release of the 3 Americans detained in North Korea.
You're right. Sidney Seiler began as the chief nuclear envoy to the 6-party talks this week. And during a forum in Washington, he revealed that the U.S. government was working through the New York Channel to bring the men home. Now, the so-called New York Channel refers to meetings between North Korea's UN delegation and U.S. officials. He also said that the Swedish embassy in Pyongyang was helping out as well. Seiler said the 3 cases have posed significant obstacles to U.S.-North Korea ties and urged Pyongyang to act in a humane and right way. He also raised the prospect of easing sanctions if the DPRK makes the right choice and returns to the negotiating table for denuclearization. And with that, we'll wrap your look at the global headlines we're following this morning.
And still ahead, it's only been over a year since they debuted, but boy band BTS is already making stops across the world to meet with their global fans. The group is back with their first full album, and Denny Hong sits down with them to catch up and see what's new.
Many people will experience a broken bone at least once in their lifetime. I know I've had my share. Usually fractures do not pose a serious threat, but depending on the area and the severity and the treatment, the outcome can be very different. There's a doctor at the Korea University Kuro Hospital who has been solely focusing his efforts on treating complicated fractures.
Men and women of all ages are subject to fractures in the bone even from small impacts. Just in Korea, more than 2 million patients are treated for fractures a year, and the numbers continue to rise. There's one expert in the country who has been focusing on treating broken bones for the past 15 years. This patient sustained an open fracture from an accident he got into while driving a forklift. He received initial treatment from a different hospital, but found no solution there.
I received treatment from a different hospital for about 2 months, but they said it would be hard to treat and they would need to amputate my leg. But then I heard from someone about Dr. Oh Jong-gun and that he's good. So that's how I ended up coming here.
Open fractures are when broken bones caused by direct or indirect physical impact, falls, or traffic accidents penetrate the skin. The area is then exposed to risk of infection, requiring immediate treatment. If not treated properly, it can lead to skin necrosis or require amputation.
We remove infected or dead tissues using radical debridement, like you would remove a tumor. When you do that, you end up with not enough skin around the fractured area, which is why we conduct plastic surgery at the same time. This increases the success rate for open fracture treatment.
Muk Jong-won fell from a 4-meter height and received a surgery for a severe open fracture. She also came to Dr. Oh Jong-gun after being told at a different hospital that treatment would be difficult.
After surgery, the leg is exposed to a lot of germs, but Dr. Oh was very meticulous in checking the area for associated risk and symptoms. So throughout the whole process, I felt very much at ease.
Unlike open fractures, intra-articular fractures occur in an area involving a joint space, so the injury can only be examined thoroughly using a CT scan or MRI. Without precise reconstruction of the articular surface, post-traumatic arthritis can occur, leading to severe pain, and the joint may need to be replaced with an artificial one. Out of intra-articular fractures, fractures in the acetabulum required highly trained skills because despite not being able to see the displaced articular surface, it needs to be aligned perfectly with no room for even a 1 millimeter error. Dr. Oh Jung-gun is a specialist when it comes to this surgery.
There are many muscles, nerves, and blood vessels that block the way, so you can't see anything, and essentially can't get a visual of the displaced articular surface. You need to use your hands to feel your way and realign the area, so it's an extremely challenging operation.
Dr. Oh in 2011 was invited to the AO Trauma Current Concepts course in Davos, Switzerland, conducting master's level courses at the AO to fracture specialists from around the world. Dr. Oh Jung-gun has focused extensively on fracture treatment, taking on every case as a new challenge each day.
Still ahead on Korea Today, September is here, signaling the change of seasons. As we head into the cool and crisp autumn, we bring you a recipe for a fish that is at its fullest. Gizzard shad or Jeoneo is simply perfect this time of the year, and Chef Matthew Chung shares his recipe.
Time now for news summer. For the upcoming Chuseok this year, we're expecting a supermoon.
That's right, and I'm looking forward to making a wish not under just any other moon, but a supermoon. Right? Let's go over to our Seomi Sorang for more on this. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. That's right. So when we make those Chuseok wishes this year, we can expect an extra bright, extra large moon to wish upon. Now, as for the exact time of when the moon will be at its fullest rounded shape here in Korea, note this down. It's around 6 a.m. on Tuesday the 9th. Now, while this Chuseok supermoon might be nothing more than just a little interesting trivia to some, others are much more excited. In fact, sales of telescopes to view the moon have increased by 80% compared to this time last year. And now, speaking of Chuseok, I'm sure a lot of our viewers will be doing some last-minute Chuseok gift shopping, perhaps including one of these popular gift sets that you see here. Now, we usually expect a bargain when we buy in bulk, but that's not always the case. According to one survey, it's about 12 times more expensive to buy processed foods as a gift set as opposed to buying it individually. Meanwhile, scientists have successfully cloned a female calf via somatic cloning. She's the nation's first calf cloned from the somatic cells of a living female cow, and so this is a pivotal milestone for the domestic cattle industry. And Seoul has the lowest birth rate of all 17 cities and provinces in the country at just 0.97 children for every woman. Now, yesterday we mentioned the Korea Broadcasting Awards, in which actress Chun Ji-yeon won the Best Acting Award for her role as Chun Song-hee in My Love from the Stars. But in this whole International Drama Awards last night, it was actor Kim Soo-hyun who stole the limelight. For his role as Do Min-jun in My Love from the Star, the handsome young actor won 2 awards, one for Best Actor and another for Netizen Popularity Award. And he also went up to collect the Best Outstanding Hallyu Drama Series Award. And the same drama has also picked up the Best Soundtrack Award for the song My Destiny, sung by singer Lin. And with that, that's a wrap for today's edition of your Daily News Sum Up.
And TGI Friday, everyone, as we kick things off with a big match set to take place later tonight, Korea versus Venezuela, in the first of the 2 friendly matches set to take place this month. And with a lot of changes made to the team, many fans are wondering how the team will fare against the South American team. Now, with the Taeguk Warriors taking on the 29th ranked Venezuela, interim head coach Shin Tae-yong stated that he'll focus mainly on the offense, as the 35-year-old striker Lee Dong-guk is expected to play up top for his 100th A-match. But the key player in this match will be midfielder Ki Sung-young, who is expected to control the offense, as Lee Bum-young is set to start as the goalkeeper, with Chung Sung-young not being called up to the national team. Well, the Chuseok holiday is just around the corner, and many people in the nation will enjoy a nice 4 to 5 days of vacation. But for the Incheon Asian Games athletes, there is no such thing as a Chuseok break. With the Incheon Asian Games 2 weeks away now, the Korean athletes competing in the big event are expected to continue training even on the Chuseok day. But according to some of the athletes, they're used to not having the Chuseok holiday off, as the National Sports Festival usually takes place shortly after Chuseok each year. And now moving on, Korea is 0-4 in the 2014 FIBA World Cup after losing to Angola, Australia, Slovenia, and Lithuania. But now, well, let's make that 0-5 as Mexico thrashed Korea 87-71, ending the tournament without a single win. Now, hopefully not a confidence breaker for the team before heading into the Asian Games. And now with that said, let's shift over to Thursday night's KBO action. The Samsung Lions shut out the Hanwha Eagles 4-0, with the Lotte Giants coming back to beat the SK Wyverns 6-4, and the Nexen Heroes crushed the NC Dinos 13-5, with Park Byung-ho becoming just the second player in history to hit 4 home runs in a single game. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the two Seoul rivals square off as the Tucson Bears took on the LG Twins. And of course, going into the game here, we shift over to the 4th inning of the game. Oh Ji-hwan leading off the inning deep to right field, gone, and the LG Twins take the lead 1-0. Several batters later, Park Young-taek with an RBI single to right makes it 2-0 before Lee Byung-gyu makes it 3-0 with an infield single. Stayed that way until the 6th inning. Yang Yi-ji grounds one to third base, but an error scores Jorge Cantu, and it's now 3-1. 9th inning, Tucson trailing 3-2. Kim Hyun-soo deep to right center, and we're tied 3-3. Now this game goes to distance, but after 12 innings of play, it ends in a tie, 3-3. And that's going to wrap it up for me. Have a great Chuseok holiday, everyone. This has been SJ. See you guys again for your sports needs.
And in this week's entertainment news, we have 2 p.m. making a comeback, and of course many more. Our Denny Hong joins us for all the details. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. You're right. So we do have 2 p.m. With a new song and album coming out, as well as Super Junior 2. And in kind of a interesting note, there's going to be a remake of a Korean drama in the U.S. So we're going to talk about these stories and more right now. Group Super Junior has swept up Asia with its new album, Mamacita. Their 7th regular album was released in stores on the 1st of this month, and since then, it has dominated the real-time charts and daily charts, as well as the top 100 on KKBOX Korea, on Taiwan's largest music website. Not only that, it has topped Iki and Yin Yu Tai, which are both music video charts in China. Group JJCC, known for being produced by renowned film star Jackie Chan, is receiving a lot of attention for its self-titled mini album. Also, cover songs for their title track One Way have been flooding the internet. Fans in China, Japan, Southeast Asia, the US, Europe, and South America have been uploading clips singing along in different languages and with different dance moves. Boy band 2 p.m., scheduled to release its new album on the 10th, has put out a teaser for its title track, Go Crazy. It shows snapshots of members enjoying themselves at a party, along with some fun and comical scenes. And this is the first time in 1 year and 4 months that they're returning to the music scene as a whole group. So there's a great deal of anticipation for their new album.
Go crazy.
And in an unprecedented move for a terrestrial broadcast, the popular Korean drama, The Good Doctor, will be remade by U.S. network CBS. According to Korea's broadcaster KBS, the series will be set in a Boston hospital and is likely to start airing in August of 2015.
I wonder who's gonna
take the lead roles.
They play the role of Juan.
Probably some really famous guy.
Right, for
Well,
sure.
it'd be interesting. I mean, normally I think you see a lot of like BBC programming that is taken over and remade into US shows as well too. So this will be interesting to see how it does. I think a lot of fans will watch both and compare, definitely.
In the meantime, you had a chance to sit down with a boy band named BTS.
Yes, the Bangtan Boys, Bangtan Sonyeondan, right? So it was a lot of fun talking with these guys, and we talked about their music, what they've been doing, and of course how they've been celebrating this 1-year debut mark, which happened not too long ago. So let's get into the interview. It has been slightly over a year since they debuted back in June of 2013, but the boy band BTS has established itself as one of the next generation stars, boasting their popularity in the US, Europe, Japan, and other countries. The 7-piece group is back with its first full album, Dark and Wild, after a 6-month gap. Good morning. We're about to have an interview with Bangtan Sonyeondan, the bulletproof boy band here in Korea. Can you please say hello to our Korea Today viewers?
All the people watching Korea Today, 두세파! 안녕하세요, 방탄소년단입니다. 데인저는 이제 상남자의 연장선 같은 노래인데요. 굉장히 가사도 강렬하고 되게 퍼포먼스도 강렬한 그런 노래입니다.
What's special about this album is that members Rap Monster, Sugar, and J-Hope took part in writing the songs and lyrics for the whole album.
작업 방식이 각자의 파트, 각자의 가사를 써온 뒤에 이제 점점 더 좋은 거를 채택을 하는 그런 스타일이거든요.
You were working on the production. Were you ever in like an argument with each other?
불만이라든지 그런 게 없이 그냥 좋으면 바로 수용을 하고 바로바로 작업을 하는 편인 것 같아요.
There's your daily
Their
dose of young
Their talent has also been underscored by legendary hip-hop producer Warren G. After the group performed one of Warren G's most well-known songs, Regulate, on a reality show, but with new lyrics. Now, Warren G extended an invitation to collaborate on an album with them.
Oh, wow. They made this? They remade Regulate?
And, lastly, on the Warren G front, I heard that recently there has been a proposal for all of you to do a collaboration with him.
Now we don't know yet, but I think we'll all hope to do it because it's really an honor. It's Warren G. So the hip hop is like the godfather of G-Funk. So yeah, we all expect to do that.
BTS is not only popular in Korea, but in Europe as well. They were the only Korean singers to be invited to a Korean culture festival in Moscow in June to celebrate Korea and Russia's 24th anniversary of establishing diplomatic ties. In Japan as well, the group held their first fan meet back in June too, with some 5,000 fans attending.
열정적으로 무대를 즐겨서 이제 많은 분들께서 이렇게 좋아해 주시지 않나라는 생각도 들고요. 저희 이야기를 담고 이제 뭐 10대, 20대 이야기를 하고 그런 이제 음악적으로도 뭔가 많은 팬들께서 이제 좋아해 주시지 않나라는 생각이 들었어요.
One of the reasons why they have been so incredibly popular is because of their high-power performances with no room for error.
저희가 이제 이때까지 뭔가 아크로바틱한 모습들을 보여드렸다면 이번에는 뭔가 군무적인 형태와 딱 절도 있는 모습을 보여주면서 포인트 안무가 이제 고혈압 춤이라는 5, 6, 7, 8, 장난해 나 도대체 내가 뭐야 만만해 날 갖고 노는 거야.
The group has practiced for more than 16 hours a day while preparing for their new album, and even while they were touring abroad, the boy band rented out rehearsal spaces in each country.
So you don't have to diet when you're in a boy band.
Nope, dancing is all you need.
16 hours of dancing a day.
Right.
A lot of cardio.
자다가도 정말 나올 진짜 그 정도로까지 연습을 한 것 같아요. 지금은 정말 다 나오면은 그냥 다들 서로 이러고 있어요. 다들 서로.
BTS is rapidly advancing to the top in the K-pop industry, taking on not only the local music fans, but also a much broader fan base from many other countries around the world. Last but not least, could you please say one final parting word to all of our viewers of Korea Today?
All the people watching Korea Today, we were BTS, the Korean hip hop group, and we just released our first full-length album, Dark and Wild, and we're now concentrating on the title song Dangerous, so please check them out. Thank you. We were BTS.
저희는 지금까지 방탄소년단이었습니다. 둘, 셋.
Well, I guess Rap Monster is the leader. He seems to be leading everything, right?
Rappy about the way he talks, right, guys?
Well, he's trying to be original. You should know, he's got to be authentic as well, too.
Right.
So.
I love the eyeliner.
the guy liner. You know, it's kind of industry standard, I think. Right?
So, Denny, as you mentioned, they made their debut last year, but they have set quite some impressive records here in Korea, and they're also very well known overseas as well.
When it comes to last year when they debuted in June, not only in Korea they got the Newcomer Award here, but also in Europe at the first So Loved Awards, they also won Newcomer Awards there. And in April of this year in China, they actually won Newcomer Award there as well too for the Inutai V-Chart Awards. And so they've been grabbing a lot of awards overseas too. So it's something to look forward to. A lot of fans are interested in seeing how their newest album will also help their popularity.
I remember when they first came out, we were like, what kind of name is BTS? I mean, it was an interesting,
very interesting
acronym.
Bulletproof Boy Scouts is how they kind of, but just they dropped the Scouts part, so it's just Bulletproof Boys is probably the way to say it.
Interesting, but they've become so big overseas. What are some of the reasons apart from the good looks and the news?
I would say that there's a couple things. One of them, timing, I think, is very important. I mean, there's a lot of people that have similar concepts, I think, but for them, they are focused mainly on the hip-hop side of music, and they kind of do dabble a little bit into the pop area, but they're still trying to stay more in the hip-hop route. As well as they had a deal with Universal Music, and so they helped to promote them overseas, and that was their main focus. More than promoting in the country, they wanted to make sure their market base was more international, especially with hip-hop music. It is a little bit more, I guess, a wider fan base and easily accepted outside of Korea too, and so that is part of their popularity basis.
And I understand that they are actually reaching out to them, having gone on tours for fan meetings as well as performances?
Exactly. The fan meetings they had actually this past year, or this year actually, in July 27th is when they started a fan meeting tour, beginning in Berlin and then moving over to Stockholm and then wrapping up in Sao Paulo. Some of the biggest, I guess, receptions they had was over in Berlin. They actually had a lot of fans coming from other surrounding countries too. And kind of in a Beatlemania 60s-esque, you know, motif, they had like a Bangtan mania in some ways. A couple of fans fainted during their first song.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of people, you know, enjoying their music. A little too much, maybe.
A little too much, yes.
So before we let you go, what are some of BTS's future plans?
Well, right now they are promoting their current album. Again, it is called Dark and Wild, their first full-length album. Their EP came out last year. So they're going to be working on promoting that in Korea and then planning on tours, of course, in South America and Europe as well later on.
Busy schedule ahead.
Indeed.
Thank you, Denny.
All right, thank you, Denny, for that.
Enjoy your Chuseok.
All right. And we're going to take a look at what the top 5 songs are here in the Korean pop music industry, and we'll be back with Matthew.
모습은 텅 빈 것처럼 공허해 그 속에 없어 표정에 나도 너처럼 사랑받길 원했어 그래서 더욱하게 예뻐졌다 매일 듣고 싶었던 말 정말 한 번도 듣지 못했던 말들
So they say the scent of grilling Jeoneo or Gizzard shad will bring a runaway wife back home. And they say it's just that good for you, right? It's worth a whole roll of silk. You know, you hear all these different things, and they're well in season right now. And joining us is Matthew Chung to tell us about Jeoneo. Good morning.
Good morning. And you're right. I mean, that scent of that grilled Jeoneo, I mean, it's just that good. But here's the thing, though. I mean, if you want to do something a little bit lighter, you know, you can do it. And that's because Jeoneo, it's so delicious and it's a really versatile fish. So, you know, how about this? We're going to do something a little bit different today. But you know, I promise you, it's still going to go really well with Korean food. And but you know what? Let's learn a little bit about Jeoneo first.
The sky takes on this deep, rich blue color, and the beautiful breeze, it's there in the morning until the evening, and it tells you that it's time for harvest. September, it's here, and there's a dish perfect for the season. It's Jeoneo, otherwise known as the Gizzard shad. There's a saying here in Korea that this fish will bring home a runaway daughter-in-law, and it's because of this reputation. It was once said that one fish in season was worth an entire bolt of fine silk. Jeoneo is perfect raw or seasoned, but the best way to enjoy it is having it grilled. Sprinkle some coarse salt on it and throw it on a hot grate. It's done. The smell, it gets your mouth watering.
They usually say autumn Jeoneo, right? The fish is really fleshy now, and it tastes even better after the Chuseok holiday.
The history of Jeoneo, it dates back to 1530. But the fish were enjoyed in the immediate area and they were caught because they didn't carry so well. But now, with better methods to keep them fresh, Jeoneo can be enjoyed anywhere across the country in a variety of dishes. So Jeoneo, it's the perfect fish for the autumn, and we're going to bring you a slice of that experience to you from the studio.
So we've seen the grilled, and this is the grill that you're looking at right now to our viewers, and we can do that in many different ways. You can actually wrap it in foil and just go ahead and throw it in an open fire, and that's one way to do it. There's a lot of different ways. We've actually started on the Jeoneo right now while our report was going out. So explain this to us. I'm going to go ahead and help myself to a little bit of this.
Please, and because, you know, right now, this time of the year, the water is getting a little bit cooler, so seafood is going to be delicious. And what we're going to be doing today is something a little bit different. Instead of going with a Jeoneo kui, instead we're going to go with a Spanish-style preparation. It's known as escabeche. So normally it uses mackerel, but instead we're going to be using Jeoneo today. And the appeal of escabeche is that it's a sort of sweet and sour. It uses red wine vinegar as a base and a lot of really great aromatics.
And Jeoneo's really good because you can actually eat the you can go ahead and have all the bones inside.
And the bones are really good for you. And you know, here in Korea, you know, we like to say that, you know, certain foods are good for men, certain foods are good for women. But
good for everyone.
But in this case, Jeoneo really is good for women because those bones, high in calcium, great for preventing osteoporosis, which does affect women more than men.
Well, we have two beautiful women over there who are eagerly awaiting this dish.
That's right. So speaking of those aromatics I mentioned earlier, we're going to start by putting a little bit of red onion, a little bit of carrot in there, and then we're going to take some garlic, and we're just going to crush it really simply. So here we go.
Let me move that, I'm sorry.
And then, so we're just going to take the palm of our hand, bam, crush it right in and toss it right in there. And, you know, doing this, you notice I don't even have a cutting board out right now. It's, this dish is just that simple.
Don't you usually use a tool to do that?
These are my tools right here. All right, so we got the garlic in there. Now we're going to add some herbs, just a little bit of fresh thyme, a little bay leaf. And then now you can really smell those aromatics and just boost that flavor of the fish. And then
how long do you have to cook Jeoneo? I mean, is this one of those things where you have to cook completely straight through? And how do you know when they're ready to go? I mean, what kind of brown are we looking for?
Okay, so with Jeoneo, you do have to cook it all the way through, but cooking it all the way through is simple when you have a fish this skinny. And one of the best ways to tell whether a fish is done or not is just by touching it. It should start to feel a little firm. A raw fish is going to be a little, more gelatinous, a little softer. But once that fish starts to get firm, that's when you know when you can flip it. And an easy way, if you notice right here in the pan, you can see that I've scored the skin. And that way, the heat can really get through.
Oh, this smells great.
Thank you. So here's the thing that makes it really an escabeche, and this is that red wine vinegar.
Wow, can you hear that?
So with the red wine vinegar, it's going to add great acid to it.
And it'll take some of the fishiness away for folks that don't like fishy stuff.
Absolutely. And with the vinegar, just because we don't want it to be too sour, we want to add an equal amount of water to that as well. If you have chicken stock at home, that's also great, boosts a little bit of flavor. Fish stock is even better. And then at the very end, just because it is the most delicate of all the vegetables, we're just going to add a little bit of fresh tomato to that. And I haven't told you the best part about this dish.
It's nutritional.
It's nutritious, but the longer it sits, the better it gets.
Really?
Because escabeche is almost technically like a pickled fish. So along with that, with that acid, it's just going to continue to develop those flavors. So, you know, a lot of times here in Korea, you know, you'll make like a 생선 조림.
Yeah.
and it'll just kind of sit there like throughout the day.
Yeah.
And sometimes it gets a little ripe. With this, with that extra bit of acid, it really helps keep things fresh.
So would you say that it goes through a certain period of fermentation with that vinegar, or it kind of, just like as you mentioned, goes through a pickling effect and everything just seeps in?
Yeah, it's like a fresh pickle. It's not necessarily fermentation in the sense that there's like lactic acid, lactic bacteria activity going on. But what it really does do, it really helps develop those flavors. All right, so we're just about done. If you can hand me that spatula right over there, we can plate up.
What's a spatula? I'm just kidding.
It's the thing that you use to flip your pancakes. All right, so here we go. Let's lay these fish down, like so. Got 1, 2, and uno más. And we're just gonna ladle all these great aromatics and
just go ahead and just pour all that stuff on there?
Right over it.
Whew, look at that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and you know what? And the great thing is that, other than chopping a few vegetables, there's really not much else you need to prepare for this dish. And the one thing I do love about this dish as well, it goes great with rice and panchan.
Well, as long as it mixes with that. I mean, it only took you maybe a good 5-6 minutes to whip this up.
And that's because it's such a small fish, it cooks through right away.
All right, so let's take it, shall we take it over there?
Bring it
to
over.
our
It's good
Let's
for
do
women.
it to
a sofa.
I'll bring this, you bring over the grilled.
A ton of calcium too. My knees have been feeling a little weak these days.
You have to smell this up close.
Oh, wow.
I mean, not this. I mean, they all smell great, but this one has an extra tang.
Wow. Okay. Well, this is a very interesting interpretation since Young ordered.
What do you think?
Wow.
Yeah?
It's got that kick and in the vinegar and the fish. It's beautiful.
It's time for a taste test.
Okay, shall we dig in? So it's a Spanish recipe, you said?
That's right. So escabeche is a really classic, it's a very homey type of dish. It's not something that you'd find in a fancy restaurant. Instead, this is something that people make, just in their everyday homes, and it translates well to a Korean home as well.
Wow.
It's so soft.
Yeah, it's very soft. It's very different from what this tastes like. I mean, this is just raw. And you could taste that there is a little bit of fishiness in there, but it tastes great. But this one there's no fishiness at all, and there's an actual very westernized flavor to it too.
Right.
As a Jeoneo beginner, I must say, it's got a lot of bones though.
It is, but those bones are nice and soft, so you don't really have to worry too much about choking on them. Yeah, it's not going to really, get in the way, say, in a fish like, mackerel, where those bones can be a little challenging to work around.
You said it tastes great with rice, so let me try it with rice.
And the vinegar really adds to taste.
Yeah, that red wine vinegar, it's got a lot of complexity to it, but at the same time it adds a lot of freshness as well.
And it's harvest season for the Jeoneo. It's Jeoneo season, is it?
It is this time right now, and they'll continue to be in season for a few weeks, and and afterwards they'll still be available. But right now is the best time to have them.
Any idea why this is the best time? Is it because spawning season is over? Or?
The spawning season, and was it with was it gizzard shad? It's a type of shad, and they're really best known for their roe, their eggs. And if you're able to get the roe with the eggs, the shad with the eggs in it, the roe, I mean, it's all the better. It's nice and soft and tender. It's got that richness to it.
That's right. That's right. It's full of nutrition. You gotta go ahead and try that. So it's good for women. I'll stay off of it today.
It's good for women and men. Calcium is good for everyone, right?
It's true. I mean, osteoporosis, unfortunately, it affects 1 in 3 women, but I mean, also affects 1 in 5 men as well. So it is something that's more common in women, but men are just as not just as susceptible, but they are. I mean, at the end of the day.
Right. Don't become a part of statistics. Eat Jeoneo.
This is perfect for the Chuseok weekend too. I mean, if you didn't prepare anything for your parents, you can go ahead and whip that up. We have the recipe right there.
That's right.
Thank you, Matthew, so much for cooking this up.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, this is where we say goodbye for this Friday edition of Korea Today. We will be back on Monday with a special edition of Chuseok.
On Chuseok Day, and we'll be sporting some beautiful hanbok, so do look forward to it.
All right, well, thank you for watching.
Bye-bye.